StreamYard.
Oh my
Hey,
gosh, we broke the internet. We
we
broke
broke through. Yeah, Ralph
StreamYard.
and me broke the internet.
Okay, everybody. Hi, we're here. We're here. Okay, what's all this about LinkedIn newsletters? You do this show and we crash the internet. It's amazing. Thank you for bearing with. And I've got Jeff Young in the house today. Yay, Jeff! Yay, Jeff! It's so good to see you. So let's just jump in. We'll get stuck in and let's start talking about these newsletters. Everybody, whoever, if you have a question, I got a little thingy here. If you have a question, please go ahead and put that in the comment and we'll get cracking. So, Jeff, you have had newsletters now since last August 2020, correct?
That's
You have
correct.
17 issues under your belt.
I
You're
have.
probably going, oh my gosh, what's going on? Look at a gazillion people getting newsletters. And I ran to you for help the first day and so appreciated it.
No,
So
that's a good thing.
it's a great thing. So why don't you just start telling us stuff and I'll monitor the comments and then we'll
Okay.
just jump on this. We're a little rattled with the 404s
Yeah.
today.
And I think there's actually a little bit of a delay in the video right now too. So I'm going to be watching myself do weird things. Hi. Anyway, yeah, newsletters have been around for quite a while. I think the thing that is very interesting and funny to me is that all of a sudden people are going, "Oh, this is driving me nuts." All I'm getting is in my in my notifications and my DMs is like invitations to subscribe to a newsletter, and I'm going, "So that's a bad thing?" No, I'm serious. I mean, I only had subscribed to about 11 newsletters. After the wave that came, this next time, I've subscribed to like twice that amount. I've subscribed to like 23, 24 newsletters. But riddle me this, Batman. Why is it a bad thing that you're getting invited to subscribe to a newsletter by somebody that you should be following or know or be connected with already, and you wouldn't want to see their stuff?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing about newsletters that I love the most. This is the only place on LinkedIn that you can actually tell LinkedIn that I want to see this person's stuff whenever they publish it. I would love to have that as an option for the feed, much less for newsletters, right?
Yep.
So newsletters are great, and newsletters are just a form of article. Okay, they're long form. Now, by the way, let me say that too. I think from a best practice standpoint, long form. Okay, there's a kind of a long form post now as well because they took the limit from 1,300 characters to 3,000. Okay, just because you can publish something long doesn't mean you should. Okay, so from that standpoint, it's a great thing to be able to publish more robust content with links and videos embedded and graphics and all kinds of neat stuff. But I still believe that the best newsletters are probably between a 5 to 10 minute read at most.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is a good target. That's a good target. Yeah. People are busy.
Yeah.
And Jeff, just as a newsletter author, is it your intention to let people are you okay with people just reading it in their email because you can get a newsletter and never go on LinkedIn and just read it in your email inbox, or do you want them to click into LinkedIn so that they'll comment?
Thanks for asking that one, because yes, I would love them to click through. Okay. Now, being the geek that I am, I've also done some statistics. Okay. And that I have about 24 or 25, between 24 and 25,000 subscribers now that I've had 17 issues. Okay. And I just did some statistics. I did a little bit of homework. Thought I'd do a little bit of homework. I did some statistics on my newsletter. So I'm holding the piece of paper right here that has that stuff. Okay. Over the 17 issues, another great thing about newsletters is it's going to guarantee some readership. Okay. So over the 17 issues, I have averaged over 5,400 views, over 160 reactions, over 113 comments per, okay, and 11 reshares per edition. Okay.
Wow.
So I can get so that's a really great thing. Now, those numbers would be even higher if more people would actually read it inside of LinkedIn. Because that's all that's counting is the people who actually click through. So that's a real click-through rate. Okay.
Okay.
So if you take my my normal number of 6,000, okay, versus my 24,000 subscribers, I'm getting a click-through rate of about 25%. Most people I've ever seen that have published an email newsletter, they would kill for a 25% rate.
Usually you're lucky if you get 3. You're lucky
Exactly.
if you get 3% for
Exactly.
email marketing.
So it's even better than that as well.
Wow.
So it's really a really great way. Honest to goodness, if you really want to contribute content, this is a great way to do so. And it's also a great way to put yourself in a much better position from a reach standpoint. Because like I said, every single time I do a newsletter now, I'm guaranteed 5 or 6,000 views. I don't get any posts that do that anymore. Never. Not lately.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
are you growing, or is that the same amount of subscribers you had from day one?
Oh, no, no, no. It's grown hugely. I mean, I didn't really keep track of the subscribers. One of the little tidbits that I do now to help myself keep track of the subscribers is that when I publish the newsletter, in the introduction, I say thank you to the number of subscribers that I've
Oh, how
got.
clever.
Well,
Clever.
that way I can go back and I know how many I had at the time I published it, right? So it took me 3 newsletters, but I ended up getting about 5,000 subscribers. Okay, so since then it has gone up to about 24,000, almost 25,000 subscribers as well. And wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh yeah, that was on. Well,
Monty Python.
hello. Well, so this then, okay? Yes. What's all this about newsletters? It basically wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. Please subscribe to my newsletter. Self-serving plug right there. Go for it.
No, it's great.
The more
It's great.
people subscribe, the more people I can help.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think your newsletter is a great example of a newsletter done right. I like Mark Williams' newsletter, and there's quite a few. Jane Jackson has an awesome newsletter. There's, really subscribing to other people's newsletters will give you ideas of what you should be doing for your own. And
Exactly.
that's why it's very important to see what other people are doing and how to encourage people to, Kevin Turner, he just started a newsletter, and going out of the gate, his was fantastic because, he was this furious cat, you and I helped him, furious cat, talking about new things, but it's more than a post. So I think anybody that's just going to take all their posts and throw it into a newsletter, I don't think you're going to get a lot of engagement. I think it has to be click worthy.
Well, from a content standpoint, I've heard a very interesting, you know me, I'm an acronym person, okay? So I heard the acronym PORE, P-O-R-E, okay? And I agree with it. It's a great acronym. It stands for post once, repurpose everywhere, okay? But the R is repurpose, not repeat, okay? So depending on where you are, you should use it in a different fashion. Because just doing a post, there'd be no graphics. And honestly, I really can't stand newsletters that come out as just text. It's boring. Okay.
We need that excitement of images. GIFs are great to put in them, embedded videos. You can do sliders. There's a lot of things that you can do. You can even embed posts. So if you had a post, Mark Williams does that a lot, where he'll embed a post of the week or month or whatever he does. And those are really good tips too. Kind of change it up and make it like, wow, there's all sorts of good. You want your subscribers to go, wow, look at all the goodies in this box.
Well, yeah, and again, it's from the standpoint of actually giving somebody that they can come back to again and again and again. I mean, now that I've subscribed to the newsletters, if you go to the newsletter page or you go to their newsletter, you can click on something that will get you to the heading for their newsletters. Because again, another thing you can do is once you've got a newsletter, there's a specific link to your newsletter page. Okay. And I can go to that newsletter page and then I can look at all of the editions of your newsletter as far back as I want. So, at my leisure, I can go back in history and again, just like, the thing about newsletters that I've been talking about a lot with people when they've asked me questions as well, is that, newsletters is just another tool. Okay. And so, it's just another tool. So since you've got a tool can be used for good and a tool can be used for bad, or not so good, if you will. Okay. And some people are going to use it that way. Okay. So they'll weed themselves out. that's the same thing with all content on LinkedIn. Okay.
Right.
Good
And then
content, value-added content will win out.
and just to clarify, you opted to do a monthly newsletter, and that helped me because when I got the option to start a newsletter, I was just like, oh my gosh, because I didn't even know it was a thing. I just like went to go write an article and boom, it popped up. And I went, oh, maybe I better do a newsletter. So I hopped on it and then I saw the frequency and I thought, well, original content, maybe a month is about all I've got in my brain. I'm too busy doing other stuff and I would rather be consistent. And that was one of the questions I had. If I committed to doing a once a month newsletter, could I do 2 in a month? Like, am I limited? Does that do anything?
No, there is absolutely nothing that ties you to that number necessarily. Okay. And I agree with you. I went through that same process. If I'm going to come up with something that is going to be valuable and I want people to read, I'm probably only going to be able to do that once a month. Okay. So to answer to both the questions, okay, now that I've got a newsletter, do I still want to do regular LinkedIn articles? Personally, I don't. Okay. Because my newsletters are so valuable that I wouldn't want to waste my time doing a regular article. Okay.
Got it.
So the value of the newsletter is there, but I can't do a newsletter every week. I just can't. Okay.
And I've got a few people that are sending me daily, and I'm going to unsubscribe. Yep. Okay. So let's
just I'm a poster for.
Let's hop over to questions because we do have some questions. Oh, we have a lot of questions. Okay. Absolutely. So we've got hello and knowledge bombs. We love Gabe. He's so awesome.
But time out. Right. Yep. Before you go on, okay, I just looked him up and I actually clicked the pronunciation button on his profile. He actually pronounces it Gabe Liala.
He actually on Clubhouse, he said you could call him either or. He said you could call him Gabe or Gabe.
Profile, so I wanted to make sure that I pronounced.
But he does have the accent. So and
thank
actually,
you, by the way,
that's
Gabe.
a good thing.
Gabe's easier for me, so I'll call you. So I'll put Gabe out there. Okay, thank you, Gabe, by the way, for the shout out earlier today on a different LinkedIn Live to point people to this one. I appreciate it. Namaste.
He's awesome. He is rocking it. He's rocking it.
He's publishing a LinkedIn Live like calendar of events. It's amazing.
I know. It's like the TV guide of LinkedIn. Yeah. It's amazing. So we've got Jane saying yay. We've got Vicky in the house looking forward to the discussion and the value. Yay. So true, Vicky. Such value with Jeff. We got Stella in the house. Yay. Hi, Jillian and Jeff. We've got Sarah Burgess. Evening, Jillian and Jeff. We got Stella. I'm running off to Jeff for help as well. Yes. And actually, let's bring Stella up for a second because this is a very interesting thing in that and a lot of people might not know about this. You collaborated with Stella. Not once, but twice. Correct? That's right. And that might be something people don't know, that you can do drafts, you can do collaborations. You want to just talk about that for a second?
Yeah. Actually, my second newsletter, which, by the way, it has been really popular. And let's mention this before we go any further. Articles, because articles are indexed by Google. Any newsletter you do will be indexed by Google as well. So if you want to see Stella's and my first collaboration, go out to Google and do a Google search for Anatomy of a LinkedIn Post. That's the title. Perfect. And it will pop right up to the very top. I can't believe it pops up to the top every single time. Yep. And so Stella and I are out there. And the way we did that, okay, is that it's not like Box or Google Docs and where you can actually be collaborating same time. Okay, you can't do that. But what an author of a newsletter can do is they can send a person a draft. And then that person can update the draft, but they can do what they need to do separately than that and send it like what she did. Stella sent me stuff in Microsoft Word. So I took her stuff out of Microsoft Word, put it into the article, okay, and then shipped it back the draft and make sure it was all right. So you can do that as many times as you want to. And oh, by the way, you don't have to publish a newsletter until you're ready to do so. So you can literally have a newsletter out there as a draft for weeks.
Which is awesome. because you can keep adding to it slowly, slowly
Exactly.
building it. You could proof it. You could write a newsletter and you could send it to somebody and say, be my second pair of eyes and have a look at this and make sure I'm not, messing up.
Yep.
Like you did something this morning where you said, hey, I'm working on this newsletter. I'd like your permission to add you here. Can you have a look at it? I looked at it. I said, yep, sent it back to you. And it's like, that's awesome. And you can't do that with a LinkedIn
all you
post.
sent back was a message, because you don't have to send the newsletter back. It really just sends a link. It is a part of, if you're inside doing your newsletter, if you go up to the upper left-hand corner and click the publishing menu, it will be send a draft. So you can see there that it's an option to send a draft. And that's what we did back and forth several different times, okay? And Stella did that one. Then she did one with me later, okay? That was what was done pretty much the same kind of way. And what I did was to make sure that I understood that, make sure that I helped my readers understand that someone else was going to be there. Of course, I announced it in the introduction.
Yep.
Okay. Secondly, I said, when Stella's talking, it'll be in bold. This is her stuff versus my stuff. So it was just an easy way to keep track of it, right? Now, here's the other thing. So collaboration is possible. I highly recommend it, because you know what? I get stale ideas sometimes, and I'd rather have another voice be a part of it. And if I'm going to have a voice, it might as well be a Stella-licious voice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now here's another one. Here's another idea for you. Okay. Again, I maybe if it's getting toward the monthly possible time, two of my favorites too. Yeah. The possible time that I'm supposed to be publishing, and I haven't had any ideas yet. It was an idea I had not too long ago, okay, from somebody that you've actually had on your LinkedIn Live. I said, hey, Craig Langley, how would you like to be my guest author for this month's edition of the newsletter? Now, this is, again, a win-win situation. His content, which he's much better at, and by the way, the newsletter was only a couple of times ago. It was called the one be effective by using Boolean search. Okay,
fabulous.
Entirely
fabulous
his content.
article.
My wrapping around it that said, here's what we're going to talk about. Here's him talking, and here's me talking about what he talked about. Okay, kind of thing. Okay, and that was a really good way to be able to do that as well. So he came up with most of the content. I added a couple of other things. We manipulated a video. We even included one of the videos that was perfect for him to illustrate. Again, that's what newsletters are for, that kind of content. Think of it as writing
like a deeper dive. It's like a deeper dive.
Absolutely. Think of it as writing a really, honestly, to goodness, magazine article on LinkedIn, because it's got exactly the same capabilities. I mean, literally, you can put the graphics anywhere you want to. You can position them, all that. You just have to get used to it. Okay, and it's very bare bones template as far as that stuff is concerned. But where else can you do underline and bold? And well, sure, you can do it if you know how in a post, but no other graphics. And like you said, sliders and all that kind of neat stuff.
And you can update it. Like that's like one of the nice things, like with a traditional article, like my LinkedIn cover story, I can keep adding new examples. I can tweak it. I can go back in and keep it refreshed so that, if you had a quote, like something like, there's 600 million people on LinkedIn and now it's 750, you can go in and change that stat, which is kind of cool.
Well, and I've been publishing articles. Here's another key point and why I went to newsletters in the first place. I've been publishing articles since, like, I believe July of 2014 on LinkedIn. Okay. Now, there was one of my articles that, for lack of a better term, I don't really think this is true, but the numbers don't justify it. But there was one of my articles that went quote unquote viral. Okay. And it actually got 65,000 views. An article way back. I mean,
an article
back in 2014. Yeah, that was back when articles actually had some punch, as far as the algorithm is concerned. But the reason was because of the subject. Okay, I wrote an article because they had just rolled out stuff that was the ability on your homepage feed, okay, to do like, comment, or share. And I said, gosh, I bet people would like to know what the difference between a like is, and the difference between a comment, and the difference between a share. And that was back in the day when shares were really good for good for reach as well. So that was exactly what I wrote my article on, and it just went nuts. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not at a newsletter do that, but I don't care because, like I said, newsletters are consistently getting me the readership that I really, really want. Okay.
Well, and I think that, to be honest with you, I think newsletters are going to be thought leadership pieces. And this
Good
is
point.
really where you're going to shine because to me, I know a lot of people don't like articles, and I've written lots of articles because I feel sometimes an article allows me to take multiple content and put it all together in one place. So I'm not sending people, oh, go here and then click here and then there's this video. I can put them all together as basically a content store, a folder,
Yeah.
so to speak, of all my good stuff.
I think they'll have a whole lot longer shelf life, if you will,
Yes,
right? And oh, by the way, my approach to writing them is really no different than my approach to writing one of my posts. Okay.
true.
I've just got more room. Okay. But every time I do a post, I use the term, I use what you do as far as a Toastmaster is concerned, in terms of the way you're going to do a presentation. I tell you what I'm going to tell you, I tell you, and then I tell you what I told you. Okay. It's that
Exactly.
simple. And that
Exactly.
formula, that template, you know how I mean, the newsletter that I just sent to you for permission, okay, earlier today, you know how long it took me to put that together? 30 or 45 minutes. Why? Because I went to the previous newsletter, yanked all that stuff out, pasted it in the first one, and then started manipulating it. It's a template.
Yeah.
And that template is, as long as it continues to work, I'm going to keep using it. Why
I
not?
love it. I love it. And just as a little bit of history, it's funny, I went prior to the show today, I went and looked at your very, very first newsletter because first of all, I wanted to see, could I even find them? And yes, you can. I just went to your profile and I found them all. And I said, and I laughed because your opening line was, "This is my first and maybe my last issue."
Yeah, 17 editions later. I know
That's
that
right.
got such a huge response. All the people, I mean, literally that got 222 comments because
Oh
my
my
network came out of
gosh.
the woodwork and said, oh yeah, do it again. Oh yeah, that's great. So why not? If they want
Why
it, I'm going
not?
to do it. That's
Why not?
exactly why I'm here.
So Jane's question was, would you say newsletters are the new article? I think you kind of answered that. It's kind of like, why not? Because it's an article that now directly goes into people's inboxes. So
Yeah,
it's kind of like, why do a basic article anymore? I think maybe we'll have John Asperian do that as an experiment. He's
an
always looking
experiment.
for experiments, and we'll get his take on that. But I would think probably now, you'll just save it. You'll just save it and make it an article. Make it
Well,
an
that could be
article.
a neat reason to do just an article, but not for me anymore.
No, definitely, definitely. So newsletters are a great way to connect with people in our community who want to see your content. It is so true. It is so true. We got Russ joining us. Okay, awesomeness, and glad we get to learn. We do. We always learn with you, Jeff. You just are so great. You can embed things in a newsletter? Yes, you can. So you can embed videos. So videos are the things that I like to embed in newsletters. And I believe I think you embedded one of my videos in your
I did.
newsletter.
I did.
And it's pretty much the best ones to use are YouTube and Vimeo because they actually display in the newsletter and then people can watch them. And it's not a
Right.
link where they go jumping out. So those are the
Exactly.
two platforms I would use, Vimeo and YouTube.
One other neat thing that's different between a newsletter and a regular post as well is that if you've got somebody's name, okay, I mean, obviously in a post, you could mention somebody, okay, but if you want to do a link to anything else, all you have to do is put the description in there,
Yep.
highlight that description, tell that you wanted to make that a link, and then paste the link to wherever it happens to be, and it turns it into a link inside of there without having all that gobbledygook.
Which
It,
is
it looks
true.
like,
Which is
it's a
true.
real link that
It's
way
cleaner.
instead of
It's much
having
cleaner.
HTTPS / blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Okay.
And
It's
and
much
what so
cleaner.
what else you've put in Jeff's graphics?
Yep.
Have you embedded posts? Have you embedded posts yet or
You can
anything?
embed a link to a post easily. I have not
Okay.
embedded a real post where it would show live inside of the newsletter.
Okay.
Usually I've reserved that for videos because I
Okay.
want people to watch the quick video. And
Yep.
again, as a matter of fact, there's a video that's always embedded at the very end of mine as well. You use this one as far as my video for cover story. My video exactly. It says namaste and thank you.
I love
which
it.
is what else would I say at the end of my newsletter? If you went all the way to the end and watched that, thank you so much for actually reading my content, but I almost guarantee you my content will be between 5 and 10 minutes worth of read. Okay.
Yep. So, okay. So we've got Claire saying
Claire,
hi. We've got
that's an angel.
Gabe, great questions. We've got Vicky again. Am I missing this? Or
Oh,
yeah, that was just,
that far
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Okay. Waiting for the broadcast. Okay. Could you embed a live stream replay in a newsletter and written content? Yes, you could. If you could, it could be an embedded post from LinkedIn. So you could do that.
Mhm.
It would be better to embed a YouTube. So
Right.
if you co-stream to YouTube, I've embedded YouTube, lots of YouTubes inside. So I
Right.
think that would be the better way to go.
I agree. Yeah, because it
Okay.
will work better.
Varsha, retreat sames. Okay, keep rocking it. Thanks. Yes, the same on my feed. Okay, looks like we all the people waiting for the broadcast.
Yeah,
Now you
yeah.
wanted to show some stuff to us, Jeff.
Okay,
right?
so
let
me share. Yeah, let me share my screen, and we may end up only.
Okay.
There was a whole bunch of questions that we probably won't get to that you had, et cetera. Partly because of the technology today, partly because of the time constraint today. But let me share my screen, and I'll show you at least how you can get some background information, more information than we'll be able to show you about. Okay, so I'm going to share my entire screen. I'm going to click the share button and then quickly go over here, and then you should be able to pick it up and put it up on the screen and let me know when it's there.
Yep.
Okay. First of all, the thing about newsletters is that if you already have subscribed to a newsletter or you have your own, okay, you can always get to your own newsletter by going My Network Newsletters. See, there's my 23, okay? And here's mine. It's always going to be at the top. So there's my 24,600 subscribers. And of course, as I go down through here, I'm going to find the rest of these. And then you can get to anybody else's newsletter, okay? Here. Did I miss it already? Where's Easy Peasy? There it is. Video Easy Peasy. Gotcha. Okay. So this is Jillian's newsletter. Now, once you get to Jillian's newsletter, okay, you have the ability to do certain things here as well. First of all, you can unsubscribe. Yeah. Okay. If you don't do that, I mean, but that's the same thing as clicking that button. You click it once, you subscribe. You click it second time, you unsubscribe. But if
would I be notified? Would I be notified if you unsubscribe?
That's another really good question. Is you never get notified when anybody subscribes, and you never get notified when anybody unsubscribes.
Okay.
And if people are interested, I'll show you how you can look at your own subscribers, but it's very difficult to do, and you can't. Though it's very difficult to do, and you never see anybody's email. Okay, which is great. I mean, here's a really good chance for somebody to subscribe to some content without any fear of being pitched to, because I never get anybody's email and all that kind of good stuff. So that's great as well. Okay. One of the things I wanted to mention here, though, is you can also report this newsletter. Hey, if somebody's doing something that's bad on LinkedIn, you can report it, and you can use this to report it. And it goes to the same kind of thing. Is it suspicious? Is it harmful? Is it hateful? Et cetera. The same ideas, right?
Got it.
The same thing applies for every single edition of. Okay, so you can report the post as well as the newsletter itself. Okay. Now this is going to it. Okay. So this is going to the newsletter, and then you can see that you can get at the newsletters, et cetera. Okay.
Got it.
Now that's one way to getting to it. But what I've done for my own newsletters, because I want to go back to that page so often, is that I've actually taken that newsletter page, that one that I went to just for you just then, and I've bookmarked it. So I've got mine bookmarked so I can go directly to it. This is my newsletter, and I can then share, of course, this bookmark as well. Okay? So I can share the link so that people can actually have a way of getting to mine. And it's here, right? So now, again, the same things apply. I can subscribe or et cetera. Excuse me, I didn't want to do that. Okay. So now, here's an interesting thing. If you wanted to actually, edit your own newsletter later, I'll get to that in a second. But here's how you actually get inside to see your subscribers. Go to any one of the newsletters, click on it, bring it up, and then the subscriber number becomes clickable for you and you only.
Okay. So I can't go peeking to see who's viewing your newsletter. Just
That's
me,
exactly right.
My own.
You can only see your own. Okay. Now, and this
Okay.
is all you can do you can look at your subscribers. And thank you, Gabe, for subscribing. He just subscribed today. I'm pretty sure of that because the most recent ones are up at the top. Okay,
Nice.
so now all I can ever do is look through these. Now, of course, I could go to their profiles and click on them and take a look at them as well. But there's nothing else I can do here. I can't send them any emails. I can't, etc. Okay, so one at a time I could do something like that. But I got 25,000 people, so I'm not going to spam anybody by sending anybody anything. That's an important point. I want to make that.
It's interesting to pull that up for a second. It's
Sure.
interesting too that it's showing you the level of connections, their second or third or
Yep.
whatever. So that's kind of interesting. If they're followers as opposed to connections, are they showing up as second and third? Is that why?
Absolutely, yeah. That's the degrees of separation. So
Okay.
it will take me a while, because I don't have that many first degree connections. It take me a while to scan down through here to find an actual first degree connection that's subscribed to my newsletter, because most of those people did that a long time ago.
And it's interesting too, Jeff, that their headline is showing up the old way, as opposed to you and I have been flipped over to the new LinkedIn profile, and it looks like it's kind of the old way of the headline than you would see in a at mentioned regular comment.
Well,
That's
I got a
weird.
feeling it shows the headline as it is, the 220
Okay.
characters, whatever that
Okay.
happens to be.
Okay.
See, because this one's really rather large.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. So just, you couldn't just say, is, Jillian subscribing to my newsletter? There's no way you can do any kind of search. You just have to sit there scrolling through
Yep.
24,000.
I just have to take it on faith, that you've subscribed if you said so. Okay.
Okay.
Now, okay, let's go.
Wait, there's more.
Oh yeah, one more thing. Well, two more things. Okay. So first of all, I want to show you how, for example, that you're going to have to do this in order to edit your own newsletter. Okay. You actually have to go out here, click write an article, bring it up as if you're going to do something. Now, when you click write an article, you can either publish an article or as a person or as a company. That's why this is two choices here.
Okay.
Next, now that this is in here, this is the only way that you can now get back into and actually edit the characters and information that is there for your newsletter, is to click write an article. Up here at the top, you'll have the edit button possible. And now I can actually change my frequency, which has really no effect, except to tell people, the name, and it also,
which you should never, ever do.
Yeah, probably not. Think about
that's what happened to Rachel Simon.
You actually do it.
Yeah.
You could change the subscription. You could upload a different image if you wanted to, and of course, that's my logo, if you will. So that's exactly what I'm going to use for everything I have out here as a brand. Okay. So that's how you edit the information about your existing newsletter. All right. Now, one final thing. Okay. I know we've got to be about running out of time here. Yeah. One final thing is I want you to be able to find out, after we're done, the best practices that might be related to newsletters.
Right.
So follow the bouncing instructor here, folks, and do this. Go to me, click on help. Okay. And when I open help, I almost always open it in a new tab. So now you should be seeing help. Literally, you could type in newsletters here, but don't do that. Type this. Type best practice and hit enter. There are 2 pages of best practices for all kinds of stuff out here. The second of which, as you can see, is LinkedIn newsletters best practices. So go read that. Do that before you ever even think about pressing the right article button and then say create a newsletter, because that's what will pop up with a button if you've never created one in the past.
Yep.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I think that's it. I'm going to get out of here, stop sharing, and come back over to you.
That's really, really helpful. And I cannot say enough about not messing with the title, because I know I called mine Video Easy Peasy with Jillian. And then I went, I should have said newsletter in there. So I went to go add newsletter, and I got that little message that, like, people might find it's confusing. So I went, maybe I won't mess with it. I'll leave it alone. And then Rachel Simon, everybody knows her story. She now lost her newsletter and can't get a new one for 6 months. So she's working with LinkedIn, trying to get it resolved, because that's just an honest error, but it's not very forgiving. So it's important to know that.
Absolutely.
Huh. That's great.
And again, you had a whole bunch of other questions about newsletters. If I can answer any questions about newsletters, please let me know, folks. Because I probably, I made this joke with Jillian when we first said we were going to do this thing, because I call myself, I'm kind of like Farmers Insurance for newsletters, because I know a thing about newsletters, because I've seen a thing or two about newsletters. Okay. So from that standpoint, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I think Jillian and I are going to go put together a little slider that will actually help answer the questions that we didn't get to today.
Top 10, and everybody can download it. And so we're going to try and get that out for Friday, and then we'll have that for everybody to do. So I think that would be great. So super duper duper. Well, thank you very much, Jeff, today. So we probably should stop now because we're at the 35-minute mark. So thank you very much, Jeff. I could have you forever. It's almost like I have to have you, I think, as a regular comeback, like once a quarter. It's like you and Kevin Turner. I might as well just like make you guys permanent co-hosts, because you guys kind of have so much stuff.
I'm shooting for the Saturday Night Live record. Okay, I'm going to be Tom Hanks or whoever it was that had so many of those. And actually, this is the third time this year. I mean, February 16th, July 20th, and now today. Okay.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
I'm already appreciative, and
I know I'm already going to start booking you for like February or March, and just kind of get you back on the calendar again, because there's so much stuff. And I think the thing is that LinkedIn is making changes. They're fast and furious. We're all getting confused. And I think, like, the saddest thing that I think with the newsletters is that people jumped in and really didn't know what they were signing up for. They were just like, shiny new object, I have to get in. Plus also too, in all honesty, LinkedIn didn't really tell us, do you have to do the newsletter right then and there? And I know I wrote mine because I was afraid that it would be gone. And I'm sure there's other people that felt the same way.
Well, and the point being is that remembering that if you're going to set one up, you need to make those decisions. Okay. And the only things you have to decide on is frequency, the name, whether you want a logo or not, what the logo is going to be. And then the only other question I think you have to answer is, do you want to inform your your followers and connections that you're doing one? And the answer should be yes. Okay. And then that only happens when you publish it. Okay. So just answer those questions. If you put it out there and put something together, it's still just a draft. So you still, you don't have to pull the trigger right away. So you can write it for as long as you want to write it. It's not like you got to do it all and, shove it out the door. That wouldn't be fair. And that would be a bad design in the first place. And you don't have to do that.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, wouldn't it be nice if we could draft our posts? Like there's so many times where it's like, I wouldn't have to keep going back and editing once I hit that publish, because it's like your copy, you're pasting, you're doing this, you're doing that, thumbnails, captions. There's so many things we're doing. And I wish I could draft my posts. So to me, that's like the best thing, to be able to do that. So anyways, awesome stuff. So we'll get to the questions in the comments. We're going to try and get our PDF slider out by the end of the week, and we'll cover some of these questions and more. So if you have more questions, guys, pop them in. Even if you're on the replay, if it's in the next couple of days, we might be able to address those questions as well. So anyways, thank you. Namaste, Jeff. Thanks for coming today. It was absolutely awesome.
Okay. I love talking with you. It's so much fun.
Okay, thanks everybody. And we'll be back next week with another cool person on my LinkedIn Live. And just as a correction, Craig Langley hasn't been on my live yet, but he's coming up real soon. So that's kind of cool. I'm excited that Craig's coming. So, okay, bye everybody.